On this surprise Thanksgiving Day episode of the Whittdocs Podcast, we dive into a mystery that has never been solved on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The best stories are not the ones that are made up, but the ones straight from real life. We explore this and more on this special Thanksgiving episode of the Whittdocs Podcast. Hello and happy Thanksgiving to everyone on this surprise episode of the Whittdocs Podcast. I thought, hey, what better thing to do on this Thanksgiving than, put out a surprise podcast. So I want to go over a few things here first of all. For those of you that are worried that this channel is a podcast channel, no, it's absolutely not. I'm a video channel, always will be. This is just something that we are doing in addition to the videos. So the more I can branch out, I know a lot of you probably don't like the podcast format, but a lot of you do. So a little bit of something for everyone here. Some people like the longer videos. Some people like the shorter videos. Some people like podcasts. There may be some out there that don't like any of the stuff I do, but hey, we welcome you anyway. Thank you all for being here. So I just wanted you all to know the videos are not going anywhere. This is just something that I'm going to do in addition to the videos, just some bonus content. So as with anything that I do, whether it's a new video format, I assess where things went well. I assess where things did not go so well. So a few things, some feedback from that first episode. This is coming from me. The announcement portion of it, the beginning, I felt like just kind of drug on too long. So I am going to do my best to kind of get into the story a little bit quicker. A few updates, a few things like that. But I don't think I need 15 minutes of talking next time before I get into the story. And I'll tell you, I have a good one tonight. Tomorrow, Black Friday, I have a new video coming out about Will Rogers. Will Rogers was kind of an Oklahoma son, I guess you could say. And I didn't really realize because, he passed like 90 years ago. I'd heard the name. I knew he had significance. He had I think an airport named after him. I think there's even a battleship that's named after him too. I didn't realize just how popular he was. At one time, he was one of the most popular men in America, and we're going to talk all about him on my video tomorrow on Black Friday. So the idea behind today's podcast, I just want you all to have a little bit of content for me on Thanksgiving. I'm going to release this super early, so I don't know what time you're listening to it. It may not even be Thanksgiving, but today is Thanksgiving Day 2025, and I wanted you all to have something that, hey, if you're cooking today or if you're traveling, you could turn this on and, maybe for 20, 25 minutes, we can make your day just a little bit better. And that's kind of the idea behind things. Also, I've got about 32 people in the Whittdocs Nation group. And you can find that over on, I'm going to say it again, the Book of Faces. Now, let's just read between the lines there, and you know what the Book of Faces is. Now, when you are on one content provider, one social media platform, they don't really like for you to advertise another social media platform. So that's why we talk in code here when it comes to the Book of Faces. Whittdocs Nation, one thing I did notice that I did not do last time, I mentioned the group, but I wanted to take this time to say hello and thank you to everyone in that Whittdocs Nation group. And what is Whittdocs Nation, you may be asking? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's something that I started probably a month or so ago, and it's open to anyone that wants to join. You just have to search and request to join, and hey, if you do that, I'll approve you. But they get more behind the scenes in that group than I've probably ever done on the channel before. I run things by them. I ask them, hey, when do you all think would be best to release this video? When would work for you? I give heads up on new videos that are coming out. And just the best behind the scenes that I can offer is through that Whittdocs Nation group. Now, if you don't want to be that close, that's fine. You can just search for Whittdocs. We've got like 85,000 people on that page, but only 32 on Whittdocs Nation. So, that is something that allows me to be a little more personal and a little more behind the scenes. So, I invite you to join that. And I actually asked the group about the Will Rogers video that's coming out tomorrow on Black Friday. When do you think I should release it? I know I wanted to do a video sometime during the holiday, these I guess you can call it the holiday weekend. And people thought probably not Thanksgiving Day. So that's why the podcast is dropping today. Otherwise, I was going to drop the video on Thanksgiving Day and do the podcast on Black Friday. But hey, I listened to my group here and they said that they wanted the video on Black Friday. So be watching for that. So this is a little bit of an advertisement for that. And for those of you, again, who prefer video, nothing is changing. I am just adding to this, kind of give you another little behind the scenes and enter the podcast world with the Whittdocs Podcast. And again, I've talked about this on the last episode. If you don't know what a podcast is, basically just think of it as an old-time radio show. That's really what it is. It's audio only. That's why you're not seeing a video. You're probably just seeing a graphic. But that's what a podcast is. It's like an old-time radio show. I use this to tell some sort of a fun story, mysterious story, maybe a story about a gravesite, a person, a story that I think that you all would find interesting. And we give obviously little updates. And hey, on this one, I wanted to basically give you all a big happy Thanksgiving and thank you for joining me. I want to know, anyone out there, have you ever been to the Outer Banks? I recently went there back in the summer and I fell in love with the place. I would love to know if you've ever been there or maybe you're from there, but I mean, that is a place I feel like I could go over and over there on the Outer Banks in North Carolina. And one thing I really like about it is it has not been taken over by, I guess, the tourist traps, things like that. It is very, I mean, there's some of that there, but not a whole lot. I mean, I've got to hand it to all the powers that be there for really keeping that place natural. I mean, there's so much up and down that coastline that is just undeveloped, uninterrupted. I mean, the way it appears now is probably a lot of the way it appeared at the time we're about to talk about in today's story that I want to get into. And, you know, like I said, if you ever get the chance to go to Outer Banks in North Carolina, I would highly suggest going there. And I actually was on this island, and I think I've seen this lighthouse that today's story is about. Now, if you look at it, it's spelled B-O-D-I-E. It looks like Bodie Island or Bodie Island Lighthouse. I think I read that that's pronounced Bodie Island. So that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Anyone out there that knows any different, or if it's not pronounced Bodie, hey, I humbly ask for your forgiveness because that's how I'm going to pronounce it for the rest of the show. And I would love to know also, if any of you out there that enjoy these stories, do you like to hear about the mysterious, the grave sites that we visit so often, something else from history? And hey, I'm from Appalachia. I'm from Kentucky. So I know a lot of Appalachian history too, have a lot of Appalachian stories. It's so funny is I've been seeing that recently on my feed. A lot of people telling Appalachian stories. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I've been doing similar things for years. So if that's something you like to hear, definitely let me know. But again, happy Thanksgiving. And I want to, let's head right now. Let's go ahead and let's put on our thinking caps. Let's put on, just really dive into our imagination here. We're going to go to Bodie Island, North Carolina, which is on the Outer Banks, and it's home of the Bodie Island Lighthouse. And you know, every so often I come across a true story that feels like it belongs in that space, kind of between history and the unexplained. And one of those stories where the official record tells you one thing, but the details that you really need, they kind of softly whisper something else. Tonight we're going to that stretch of coastline that's known for shipwrecks, storms, and stories that never quite let go. We're headed to Bodie Island, North Carolina, home of the Bodie Island Lighthouse, and the strange disappearance of a man named John Urie, a lighthouse keeper who walked out into a storm in 1900 and never came back. If you've never been to the Outer Banks before, just kind of picture this. A thin strip of land, ocean on one side and sound on the other, wind that never stops, and a history of shipwrecks so long they call it the graveyard of the Atlantic. In the late 1800s, the Bodie Island Lighthouse is one of the most important beacons on the coast. It was tall, isolated, and the keepers were expected to keep that light burning no matter what. And through whatever may happen, storms, hurricanes, freezing nights, it didn't matter. The light had to stay on, and the man in charge of that job in December of 1900 was John B. Urie, a veteran lighthouse keeper respected by everyone who knew him. And Urie wasn't some novice. He'd worked lighthouses for years. He knew what the storms were. He knew the dangers that were out there. And he knew the ocean doesn't forgive mistakes. He lived on site with his family in the keeper's quarters beside the lighthouse. It wasn't an easy life by any means, but it was steady. And Urie did his work well. The lighthouse board records him as responsible, dependable, and steady in all matters. He wasn't a drinker. He wasn't reckless. He had no enemies that anyone ever knew about. Now that matters later. December 3rd, 1900. One of the worst coastal storms in years slammed into Body Island. Winds were over 60 miles an hour, sheets of rain, and waves hitting the beach like thunder. At some point during the night, something outside started banging. The assistant keeper thought it was the oil house door, a large wooden door that sometimes came loose in strong wind. Around 1 a.m., Urie put on his coat, grabbed a lantern, and said he'd go secure the door before it got damaged. That's it. That's the last time anyone saw him alive. When Urie didn't return in the next few minutes, the assistant keeper went outside with another lamp just to find him. But there were no signs of him. The sunrise came, the storms calmed, and a full search began. That's when things got strange. They found footprints, clearly his, leading from the keeper's house across the sand toward the water. But here's the thing. The footprints stopped at the water's edge. Not a single footprint came back. No signs of a struggle, no straps of clothing, and no body ever washed ashore. The ocean had been rough, but not rough enough to erase prints that perfectly. His lantern was never found, not even a piece of it. The U.S. Lighthouse Service ruled it an accident. They said Urie must have been checking the oil house door, slipped, and was swept out by a wave. But here's the problem with that explanation. The footprints never veered towards the oil house. They went in the opposite direction, straight towards the beach, straight into the ocean. No sign he ever stopped by the oil house at all. That's the part that never made sense. Now, of course, as with today, anytime something like this happens, you hear all kinds of theories. A rogue wave. This is the simplest one. A giant wave took him, but rogue waves leave debris. They leave sometimes clothing, and they usually leave something behind. Nothing of Urie was ever found. And another theory. Someone did this to him. But again, no signs of a struggle, no motive. The family was inside all night. This one never did fit the facts. And that leads us to the next theory, that he'd done this to himself. But everyone who knew him said he was happy and stable and proud of his work. He had just received a positive evaluation. No stressors were ever mentioned. But even if someone chooses to walk into the sea, it doesn't explain why not one single item ever washed up. And the footprints were steady. No signs of any hesitation. Some people believe he just walked away, that he staged his own disappearance. But again, he left behind a family and zero signs of any planning. No money was missing, no previous behavior pointing that way. And again, the footprints go straight into the ocean, not towards a road or the nearby woods, right into the waves. Now here's something else. Some keepers who worked the lighthouse after him claimed you could hear footsteps on the spiral stairs at night. Heavy, slow footsteps. Others claimed a dim light sometimes moved along the catwalk at the top, like a lantern was being carried, something you couldn't see. Now you take that for what it's worth, but lighthouse keepers weren't the type to make up stories. The lighthouse logbook recorded his death as Keeper John B. Urie. Lost in storm, cause unknown. He left behind a family. They stayed on the island for a short period, but eventually moved inland. The haunting rumors continued for decades. Some say even today. Every now and then, someone visiting the lighthouse swears they saw a shadow cross the catwalk up the top, even when no ranger was there. So that's the story of John Urie, the lighthouse keeper who stepped into a storm and never returned. A man who knew the ocean, respected it, lived beside it, and may have become part of it. It's one of those stories that feels unfinished. And on my channel, that's not I've done them before, but that's not my favorite type of story. I like something with an absolute for certain finish. It's one of those moments where history gives you the facts, but doesn't tell you what happened between those footprints and the waves. And maybe that's why the story has lasted so long, because sometimes the most unsettling mysteries are the ones where the evidence is simple, but the truth refuses to show itself. Now, in this story, there are a lot of, I guess you could say, theories. Here is what is 100% historically confirmed. John Urie was the principal lighthouse keeper at Body Island Lighthouse in 1900. On December 3rd, 1900, he went out during a storm to check on the oil house door. He never returned. His footprints were found in the sand. No footprints came back. No body, clothing, or lantern was ever recovered. Now, these details come from the U.S. Lighthouse Board annual reports, National Park Service records, Coast Guard, keeper logs. He is officially listed as lost in storm, cause unknown. Now, of course, with that, the parts that are not confirmed, the footsteps, the ghost lanterns, the ghostly activity, that's all part of folklore. They're part of the legend, but not the official record. There is an official record on this story, and that official record says lost in storm, cause unknown. What a story. Have you all ever heard this? I didn't realize when I went, and I did several historical things while I was there, even one of those ghost tours. And that was awesome. The person who did ours was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was one of the best tours. I've been on a few of those. That's one of the best ones I've ever taken. But I did not realize when I went to the Outer Banks just how much it was known for shipwrecks. And if you've ever heard of Blackbeard, that's where Blackbeard kind of met his end. I mean, it was an absolutely crazy time back in those days. And they do call it the graveyard of the Atlantic because all of this stuff happened. And it's something that, I mean, just there's so many rocks and things, and there towards the coastline, the water is not exactly deep. So it can be a little bit of a mirage, I guess. It looks like there's plenty of water there, plenty of depth. Those ships come in, next thing they know, they're bottoming out on rocks. And, you know, back in those days, it's not like today. I mean, ships today can withstand some stuff. Back then, it was mostly just wood. So it couldn't really handle a lot of abuse. But like I said, that whole area, I love the history of it. I loved there was a lot of pirate activity there too, which, I mean, I know a lot of that falls into folklore, but it really did happen. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that went on there. So Outer Banks, North Carolina, if that's a place you have never been, I would highly suggest going. Something else too that you may not know, over on Roanoke Island, which is considered part of the Outer Banks. It's not right on the ocean, but there was a very famous person who had visited there from his home in another area of North Carolina, became part of a show there called The Lost Colony, and fell in love, moved there, and lived the remainder of their days there. And actually their final resting place is private, but it's somewhere on that island close to his estate. And that is the one and only Andy Griffith. Anyone out there remember Andy Griffith? If you like any classic television, you're likely to remember Andy Griffith. And the home he came from was in Mount Airy, North Carolina, the inspiration for Mayberry. Also, another fun fact, and I actually took a video of this building there. I can't remember, I don't know what it was at the time when it was filmed, but it was actually filmed as a part of Matlock. He brought a crew there in Manio, however you pronounce it. I hear it pronounced multiple ways, but it's right there on the island. He brings a camera crew there, and they film for Matlock, his show at the time. So a lot of history there, a lot of pop culture history that you may not realize with Mr. Andy Griffith being from there. But the Outer Banks and the stories. I mean, I went in bookstores down there, and the stories that in the books that you would see about stories just like this one. Man, what a history. I can't wait to go back. And I'll tell you something else that I'm very thankful for, and that is all of you out there choosing to spend this part of your Thanksgiving with me on the Whittdocs Podcast. And that means a lot. I said I would try this for a little bit, see how it worked out. The first one we did, we had some people listen to it. It wasn't a lot. Definitely wasn't as many that watched the videos, and that's okay. Podcasts aren't for everyone, but we got some people, and I hate to use the word fans because I'm just a guy from Kentucky with a microphone and a camera. But there are some people that are fans of videos and the stories, and there's some people that, for whatever reason, like me. So those of you that like me probably will like this podcast a lot better than those who just only care about the graves, and that's fine. I don't need you to like me to like the videos. I just want you to enjoy what we do, enjoy paying our respects to people, enjoy the short films and documentaries that we do. And hey, I truly, truly appreciate it. I hope that you all are having an absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you are listening to this after Thanksgiving, I hope you had a great one. Black Friday, I've got the video on Will Rogers coming out. I think you all will really like it. I learned a lot about him, and man, what a fascinating guy he was. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I don't know when the next one will be. Hey, I didn't really think that the next one would be as soon as it was after the last episode that we did, but hey, here we are. I can slip away a little bit easier and do podcasts than I can videos, but I do have a backlog of videos still coming. You may have seen I released a short, I believe it was yesterday, about my visit to the Field of Dreams, all kinds of stuff like that coming on the way. Great places in history and great stories on the way to you. I truly appreciate you all being here. I hope that your Thanksgiving is amazing. I hope you had a wonderful meal. I hope you get to spend a lot of time with those that you love. I truly appreciate it, and I truly appreciate you all for being with me, being a part of the team. Hey, I don't take that lightly. I really and truly appreciate it. Thank you all so much. We will see you all next time. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next time on the Whittdocs Podcast.